Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me to go over the revisions to the Students of the Year guidelines for 2022. If you experience audio issues, you can contact me through the chat box that's located on your screen, and I will see if I can fix it from my end, okay? So if everyone's ready, we'll go ahead and begin. Welcome to our webinar concerning the selection of the Student of the Year candidates for 2021. I'm Marion Johnson, and I serve as the Student of the Year Program Coordinator for the Department of Education. I ask that if you have questions as I progress through the presentation, to post them in the chat box, and I will address them during the presentation. The Student of the Year program is a wonderful opportunity to highlight and celebrate the accomplishments of the top students in your school systems and in our state. And we want to commend those students who have excelled as scholars, leaders, and service volunteers for their school, church, and community. So by the end of this webinar, you are going to understand the revisions impacting school submissions. Due to the healthcare crisis that we are currently experiencing, both portfolios and writing samples at the regional and state levels will be submitted electronically. Also, as a reminder, all charter schools now submit their nominees to their oversight school system or their charter management system. And those charter management organizations will then submit to the regional zone committees. Okay, you will also understand the selection process that we're going to be using for grades 5, 8, and 12. This includes the timeline, individual components, and school system responsibilities, and the scoring forms. We're also going to cover the revisions to the scoring forms. The academic weighting has been slightly adjusted, particularly in grades 5 and 8, so that more emphasis is on leadership, activities, service, and honors, and recognitions rather than just test scores and the student's GPA. We're going to cover the role each local education agency or school system plays in this process. Each school system, diocese, or charter management organization is responsible for nominating one student for each of the 3 grade levels from the schools under their jurisdiction. School systems and charter management organizations will also need to volunteer to host a zone or regional competition. If school systems or charter management organizations do not volunteer to host all or part of a zone or regional, then no student from that zone or region will be able to move on to the next level of competition. Last year, that was a little bit of a problem, and we want to make sure that everybody understands. If you host one grade level, it's only finding 5 panelists, and those interviews and reviews are probably going to be done electronically this year, depending on the state of our health crisis and which phase we're going to be in. So that might be a little bit easier to manage than an on-site one. Last year, we did complete the State Student of the Year totally virtually, and It worked out very, very well. Okay, we're going to go over the components that the students must complete at the school system level, the regional levels, and state levels. There are some adjustments to the electronic submissions rather than a hard copy submission this year, and that's obviously because of COVID. We're also going to talk about the paperwork that must be submitted to the zone or regional coordinators and the LDOE. All school systems and charter management organizations will need to submit their school system information form to me by October 16th to my email address. That's Marian, MARIAN .johnson@la.gov. This information can also be found in the application packet that's available on our website. School system nomination forms will be sent to school system contacts once information forms are submitted to the LDOE. In November, we ask that we will identify zone and regional coordinators, and all school systems will be provided within that region will be provided with contact information for the members of your region. By the end of December, each charter zone selection committee will need to have their nominees' names and be ready to submit them to their zone committee the first week of January. Last year, our state winners that were selected by 3 totally independent panels were from the north, and eastern, and central parts of our state. Our 5th grade winner was Piper Cangelosi from Region 4 in Central Louisiana and attended the LSU University Lab School in Baton Rouge. Hailing from the northwestern part of our state were our 8th grade winners, representing Region 1, was Zachary Cryer. Zachary attended Benton Middle School, located in Bossier Parish. Our 12th grade winner is also from Region 1, and Tavion Jacori Moore. This senior graduated from Ringo High School in Bienville Parish and plans to pursue a medical career. These 3 outstanding students all aspire to make a difference for the Louisiana residents in the future. Outstanding students like these are attending public, private, and charter schools throughout the state. This year, the Student of the Year competition gives you the opportunity to recognize and honor the accomplishments and contributions of young men and women on your campuses. The 2021 Student of the Year guidelines have been revised this year to better reflect the changes in school dynamics, assessments, and career pathways. The first item on the agenda, or the selection process, should be for you to download the revised 2021 Student of the Year guidelines found on our website. I'm very proud to say that we worked very hard on giving this a fresh new look and making it more user-friendly, not only for you, but for parents as well. We encourage you to read the bulletin to be aware of the changes and to understand the revisions in the selection process. Last year, the criteria for the senior nominee was upgraded to encourage school systems to consider the career and technical achievements of the students, not just the traditional academic accolades for college-bound students. The end result produced a senior who had earned 2 associate's degrees along with his high school diploma. If you do not have a hard copy of this document, the URL for the guidebook is posted on our website. This year, you will need to designate 2 people from your school system as contact persons responsible for receiving and submitting information to and from your regional and state coordinators. This is to ensure continuity in the selection process if someone becomes ill or retires during the course of the year. This form is due to me by October 16th. If someone from your region has not submitted, I personally contact each one to ensure their participation or their refusal to participate. Let's take a closer look at the revised school information form. Excuse me. The purpose of this information form is so that 2 people in the school system are designated as coordinators for the school. I'm sorry, I'm admitting people. So if I pause, that's the reason. 2 people in the school system are designated as coordinators for the school system selection committee and selection process to ensure access to your educational agency. The contact information requested on the document provides the LDOE, the school system's information that will be used by the zone, regional, and state coordinators. The LDOE will provide information about zone, state, and regional competitions. If you look at the system, the document itself, it does state that there is you have the school system, we have 2 people, they each have a title. We're going to request email addresses from both of them. The mailing address obviously will be the same. Their city, state, zip, and their telephone number and fax numbers. Every now and then we have issues with people's scanners, and documents have to be faxed because it doesn't work. I can email, I have a scanner, so it's not a problem with me sending you information. It's more of an issue. It's important that we have it and those regional and zone people have it so they can fax you information if need be. On the document, it also has a place to indicate what grade levels you plan to submit and whether or not you're a public or charter schools. Even if you have charter schools within your district and they're under your school system supervision, you will check off both boxes. They will fall under your region, and then they will fall under your regular assigned geographic region, but your charter schools are in Region 7. So that's more of a flag to me, so I know that those schools have responded. There's also a place to indicate whether or not you would like to host a zone or regional competition. Last year, all 7 regions divided the grade level process among their members. When the process is shared in this manner, the selection process is not overwhelming for one school system. You're basically looking at finding 5 judges, having a place to conduct your interviews if we're able to have children travel and go to your site. So it's a little bit less cumbersome, so to speak. Hosting one grade level requires 5 judges and 2 meeting room spaces. That's if you're on site. If they're not, if we do this virtually, you only have to have 1 room for your judges. If the students are on site, obviously you're going to need a holding room space for the students and their families, in addition to the room where the judges would be held. It may be an option your school system would like to consider. If your designated region does not have someone to host a grade level for a zone or a regional competition, then your zone or region will not be represented for the impacted grade levels at the next level of selection. And I typically have to reach out to different districts saying, do you think this could be possible? I need you to just collect data and coordinate it. And I give you a cheat sheet. These are the steps you need to follow. And it really is not that bad. I have several regional coordinators on this call today, and they can tell you it's more about getting you to turn in your portfolios than it is to actually manage the students. We would sincerely like to thank all of the 15 school systems and charter management organizations, as well as the 7 diocesan offices who have helped to coordinate and host an event last year. Your efforts were very much appreciated. You will need to check off your school system's decision concerning their level of involvement. Also note that your form needs to be signed by your superintendent. Last year, many of the charter zone selection committees and regional selection committee chairmen had difficulty locating individuals to serve on their selection committee. It would be extremely helpful if you included at least one person from your school system, charter management system, or from your parish or your geographic area that would like to serve on a zone or regional committee, so that more of your system is represented on those selection committees. These people could include a teacher, a counselor, a CTE instructor, an administrator, a supervisor, a junior college or technical college instructor, a university instructor, or an administrator. We also encourage members of your community who want to be involved in the process to go ahead and submit their names. We want parents to realize that they too have a voice, and the business leaders in your community to have a voice in the selection. If you recommend someone for the committees, then it relieves some of the stress the regional coordinators experience in locating qualifying judges that are outlined in the guidelines. Now on to the next step in the process, determining your timeline based on the LDOE timeline. A parent or guardian must sign the application that allows us to review or see that child's personal information. It is imperative. I know you won't have a problem getting that done. This timeline was included in the logistics memo that was posted on our website. We'll briefly go over the dates listed. October 16th, school systems will need to submit to the LDOE, to me, the information form from the school system chairperson, including the zone and regional hosting request. At this point, I have about 15 forms turned in, but only 2 parishes have volunteered to host. So please consider it. You can reach out to former coordinators. If we do this virtually, things are going to move, I think, a little bit more quickly because not as much physical movement is involved. School systems and charter management systems can volunteer to host these competitions by indicating on your school system form. And we're asking you not to host all of them, host just one. Regions have only about 15 to 16 students per grade level at the regional level, instead of 36 to 50 if you host multiple grades. Regional hosts use the same process that we use in determining the state winners. We provide the regions with electronic copies of all rubrics, scoring sheets, and interview questions. The writing prompts for the essay are completed at the school system level and electronically sent directly to the regional or state coordinator. In November and December, we ask schools to begin the process of selecting their nominees and submitting those hard copy portfolios to the school system for consideration. This year, the portfolios from school to the school system level will be hard copy. Everything thereafter will be electronic. As soon as all zone and regional coordinators are established, I will send that information to you. There's a question. There's several questions, so let me pause. Yes, we're going to do electronic portfolios, and I'm going to go over that in just a bit. So if I don't answer your question, please let me come back to it. The interview process last year, I conducted all 21 of them with the selection panel present. And it worked out just fine. We videotaped them, so if a panelist wasn't able to join us at that time, they could view the actual interview. Everything is dependent on where we are with COVID-19 and which phase we are in. We want to keep the health and safety of our students, parents, and staff first and foremost. I'm going to go over the specifics of the portfolio in just a minute. Mr. Hines, you asked if we were faxing the form. The form is actually available on the website, and if you email me, I will send you the form myself. It's also in the district newsletter. What is the deadline for each individual school to select a student? That is a district decision. At the regional level, we have to have all regional nominees submitted to me in January. My advice would be to try to get this done by the beginning of January. Charter schools, you really need to have this done before you leave for the Christmas holidays, because we need to schedule those regional zone selections, because you have 5 more zones that are going to be used. And we're going to go into that in just a second. Okay, I think I've addressed everybody's questions at this point. I'll go ahead and continue. In December, all charter schools need to select their nominees for their charter management organization. I know we have several charter systems that have multiple sites. You function as a school system. So your system will be able to submit 1 nominee for 5th grade, 1 nominee for 8th grade, and 1 nominee for 12th grade. The zone winners or the zone nominees can be notified as soon as those are done. You don't have to wait to announce your district nominees. You can go ahead and do that. So district nominees and charter management, the regional zone committees can be announced when they are selected. From January 5th to January 20th is when we'll determine our zone nominations, because we have a January 21st deadline. January 21st, your regional people will need the nomination form that they're going to send you with their directions on how they're going to conduct their regional selection process. And it's basically a form that says the student's name and what zone it is, or what school system you want. We will then have 1 month to make our regional selections, and we have 7 committees that will need to meet. Now, I know that this always falls during Mardi Gras, and this is tough. If we plan ahead, we'll be just fine. Regional coordinators, you will determine when and where the competition will occur, and you will notify the school system coordinators and me of your deadlines. That's just so that I know when to expect your nomination forms. Whomever you choose at the regional level, you don't announce those nominees when you make that selection. Our office will make that announcement. This is so that one system says, well, they selected so-and-so, we got to get somebody like this. No, we want you to send you your best nominee overall. Ms. Vincent, I will send you that information. The regional contacts have not been established at this point since we are in the beginning stages. We will announce the winners who our state finalists are. Your regional nominees become our state finalists, and we'll announce that the very first week of March, between March 3rd and March 5th. The deadline for you guys submitting is March 2nd, is submitting those nomination forms to me. Since everything is electronic, you should be able to send me their portfolios when you send their nomination forms. The essay topics will not be sent out at the same time. They're usually sent out about 4 to 5 days after we submit, we receive the portfolios. On April 20th and 21st, these are the 2 dates that we have set aside for a face-to-face. Even if whether it's face-to-face or virtual, these are the 2 days. On the 20th, the judges will come to Baton Rouge, if so be it, and they will begin the scoring process of the essays and the portfolios. If they come virtually, it will be on the 21st, where we recognize all the students here at the Claiborne building, and an interview is conducted. As I said, all of this is dependent on which phase of COVID-19 we're in. We know we can accomplish this virtually since we did it last year, and it worked out quite well. These dates are subject to change depending on the health crisis. So it might be a little later, or it could be sooner. It just depends on when our status at that point. On the evening of April 21st, we have begun the process of securing an on-site recognition ceremony for Student of the Year. If it's on-site, it will be held at the Louisiana State Museum the evening of April 21st. Regional coordinators are included, parents, family. One question that always pops up every year, well, from the nominees, who can I bring? And I never tell them a set number because we've never gone over our capacity. I encourage them, if they want to bring somebody, that's fine, but we ask no more than a handful of people, 8 at the most. Sometimes school staff wants to attend, especially if they're within driving distance. The principals will be included, as well as the district coordinators of our state finalists. We're going to get to the portfolios in just a second. All right, let's review how the regions are set up. The traditional public schools are divided into 5 regions. All non-public schools are included in Region 6, with the diocesan personnel coordinating the selection process. The non-public schools should look at the map to determine which diocese they should submit their portfolios. And I know the diocese does a great job in getting that information out. We have had winners from private schools, not necessarily Catholic schools. So I want to emphasize that. They have graciously allowed us to use their geographical diocesan areas in order to group the non-publics that are in your area. With the increase in the number of charter schools across the state, all charter schools were placed in Region 7 2 years ago. This includes Type 1, Type 2, 3, 3B, 4, and 5 charter schools. If a traditional public school system has a charter school that is operated under their jurisdiction, then they should submit 2 nominees, 1 nominee for the traditional and 1 for the charter. I can honestly say that the charter schools have learned that this process, and they submit their participation form independently to ensure that their students are recognized. And that's the whole purpose of this process. Now, charter zones. We have 5 charter zones. And I have looked up every charter school in the state, and they are color-coded on the map. Zone A is primarily North Louisiana. Zone B is Southwest and Central. Zone C is the North Shore and Southeastern Louisiana. Zone D is basically South Louisiana, and Zone E is Orleans Parish. We have looked at the number of schools within the state. Zone A, and this is all included in the Student of the Year guidelines. Zone A includes charter schools in Aboyles, Caddo, Claiborne, City of Monroe, Concordia, Lincoln, Morehouse, Richland, and Union. Zone B is Calcasieu, Lafayette, St. Landry, Iberville, and St. Mary parishes. Zone C, City of Baker, City of Bogalusa, East Baton Rouge, and East Feliciana. Zone D includes Lafourche, Jefferson, and Plaquemines Parish. So to answer Belle Chase's question as to who their coordinator is, it's going to be your zone coordinator will be for Zone D. Okay, Zone E is Orleans Parish. If your geographic area is not listed, please contact me as soon as possible so I know to make sure that your school is included. This slide provides a flowchart of the selection process, illustrating how nominees are selected at the school system level, the zone, regional, and state levels. Scoring reminders. Scoring forms can be found on the later pages of the 2021 Student of the Year guidelines. First, the total number of points per nominee will remain the same. In reviewing the guidelines, it was noted that grade levels were not equitable in terms of the number of years used to determine the GPA for eligibility. To that point, the following adjustments were made. Now, this is just in determining eligibility. When we get to the state level, we use, for grades 5 and 8, we use all previous grade levels. Okay? And it's only basically 2 points in the form. I'm going to be very honest on our rubrics. So, but there's always some comment about this. So grade 5, we use 2, 3, 4, and the current scores. Grade 8, we use 5, 6, 7, and 8. When they come to us in 5th grade, we only have 2 grading periods. We don't have a whole year. So that's why there's a little bit of an overlap there. Grade 12 uses 9, 10, and 11, and that should, and their current grade 12 scores. If a student has earned Carnegie units during the, in 8th grade or in middle school, those should be reflected on their transcripts. Another question that came in concerning what information do I include? If you have major points for those kids at 8th grade that sets them up, make sure that's included in the application. In previous years, more emphasis was placed on the academic performance of the students rather than what the student had accomplished. Academic performance was awarded twice the value of the student's accomplishments. In an effort to bring more balance to that portion of the scoring form, the academic points were altered in the following manner. Grade point average is worth 5 points instead of 10. Test scores are worth 5 points instead of 10. So the total points for academic competition was 10 points. For grade 8, instead of it being worth 10 points, it's now worth 7 points, and this is for their grade point average. Their test scores are now worth 7 points instead of 10, and the weighting for academics went to 14 points instead of 20. For grade 12, the grade point average is worth 3 points. The difficulty level of the courses is worth 3 points. Test scores are worth 2 points. Credentials of coursework or certification was added last year and earns 3 points. Technical an associate's degree or work-based learning experience was also added last year and is worth 3 points. So the academic portion of the grade 12 portfolio is 14 points. Portfolio components reflecting leadership activities, service, and leadership were adjusted in the following manner. Grade 5, for the last 5 years, all of our nominees have held some type of leadership position. So it was decided to include that as a scored component. It should not work against them. It should be just be what it is. But in all of the nominees that I have seen over the last 5 years, every one of the nominees, not just the winners, have held some type of leadership position, either at school, in their church, or in their community. Activities and service points, activities, service, and citizenship is now worth 10 points. Recognition and awards are now worth 10 points. For grade 5, a nominee can earn up to 20 points for leadership and service. For grade 8, the leadership component is worth 7 points. Activities is worth 7 points. And recognitions and awards are worth 7 points. Grade 12, leadership is worth 7. Activity, service, and citizenship are worth 7. And recognitions and awards are worth 7. So this component is now worth 21. So you have academics being 14, service and leadership being 21. Points awarded for the writing samples and interviews will remain the same. Last year, the composition of the grade 12 panel was revamped to include a CT instructor or supervisor and or junior college or university personnel because we were including career-based coursework. And in working with that, it's super helpful when you have people who are familiar with that certification to help guide panel members that have questions. Well, is this a CTE course or not? So sometimes those questions do come up. These new scoring rubrics will be sent to school systems to aid in the selection of their nominees. The rubrics should be kept in-house and not openly shared with parents in order to keep some degree of reliability and validity to the scoring process. Some parents work diligently to keep all the boxes checked so that their child will be nominated. I have had students ask me, well, what do I do to get my child nominated for the next level? Well, if they're the grade 8 nominee, keep doing what you're doing, and it's just going to depend on how everything falls. In an effort to shorten the competition day for regional and state competitions, the writing samples for the regional and state nominees will be sent directly to each school system that has a nominee submission. Each LEA will be responsible for administering and proctoring this 75-minute writing session for the regional and state levels of competition. Students will be given 75 minutes to read the articles provided and respond to the writing prompt. The student may handwrite or type the essay. All graphic organizers, rough drafts, and final drafts are kept on file at the school system level. A typed final draft is electronically submitted to the regional and state coordinator along with the letter of assurance that is provided. LEAs with regional nominees will receive their writing prompts no later than January 28th. That is just to ensure. I send those to regional folks. They know it's coming. We just found that way everybody has the same amount of time to get it done. School systems with their state nominees will receive their writing prompts no later than March 9th. School systems and coordinators will submit their essays and portfolios no later than 1 week prior to the interview day. This will allow judges more time to score the portfolios and writing samples prior to the student's arrival. On the regional competition day, the student will only need to complete the interview with the judges. This will either be a face-to-face interview or a virtual interview, depending on our stage of COVID. Winning portfolios will be electronically sent to the LDOE as will the new writing samples. Writing samples that are sent to the regional person, they will keep those on file as well as in addition to their scoring forms. The regional coordinators will not reveal their winners to the school system. That will be done by the state. And we will announce the 21 finalists somewhere between March 3rd and March 5th through a press release. Okay. Okay, I have lots of questions concerning electronic portfolios. This is the first time we've done it. We're not going to give you a platform. We're going to ask you to, the district can determine how those documents are transformed from hard copy to a portfolio. One of my biggest concerns in electronic portfolios is that somehow we lose the child because it's just document. Most portfolios reveal a story about the child, and you get to see their inner thoughts. How you choose, if you need to submit it in multiple folders, you want to put it in folders, that's fine. If there's a way to scan it. The guidelines give you specifics concerning how many pages. Since there's a 25-page limit on the hard copy, and that includes a front and a back, there are 50 pages plus a cover, a cover sheet for the child. Okay, does that answer everybody? The question is, will we get this PowerPoint? The PowerPoint is currently being recorded and will be posted on the website. And if you email me, I can, once I get it together, I can send that to you. Okay? Just shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. So far, we've discussed the school system information form and the timelines and revisions to be used in this process. The purpose of our student year program is to recognize outstanding elementary, middle, and junior high school students enrolled in grades 5, 8, and 12 who have demonstrated exemplary academic achievements, leadership abilities, and citizenship. We're going to review each of the attributes that should be used in your selection process. Okay, a question is coming in. How are we going to take COVID into consideration when we're looking at these activities? If we're in stage 4, we should be allowed to do face-to-face. If we're in stage 3, that decision will be made on how we will proceed. Right now, we're really not encouraging a whole lot of state travel, and it's kept to a minimum. So more info, COVID has just got to play out a little bit more. We're currently in phase 3, so if we follow the guidelines, maybe we can progress to phase 4. Is the process? Okay, Miss Vincent, I am going to reach out to you and respond to your questions because they are specific to your school system. Why are we submitting hard copy and electronic? Because not all parents are savvy enough to put together an electronic portfolio. And there's some documents that they're going to need to get from you, like transcripts and so forth. Some of that you have in-house. So school systems, whoever your nominee is going to be, your system is going to be responsible for assisting the child in transforming it. All of that information is discussed in the portfolio guidelines, which is in the appendixes B and C in the guidelines. Okay, now, the question also came in, well, what if we have students that aren't being allowed this year? Then you're going to have to use information from last year. That's all I can say. Some people are still having clubs meet virtually. They're still involved in activities in the community, even if they're social distancing. You have kids volunteering to do, we've had so many crises in Louisiana, that can be part of it. For Student of the Year, the documents are posted on the website. They were posted at 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you look under awards, it's on the same page as Teacher of the Year. If you go under awards, it's not the first awards bullet, it's the second awards bullet that you need to click on. But they are there. They are hyperlinked. Okay, in academics, the student should have a 3.1 or higher. This should allow for greater diversity of students and accomplishments. Since we're not primarily targeting students that are just strong academic students, they're more of a well-rounded student. Last year, with the addition of CTE being added, points were earned for AP or IB coursework, as well as credentials earned on associate's degrees. The application has asked all of their nominees to separate their information according to school and community involvement. Once you look at the application, you're going to see that it says leadership, school, church, community. This was more of a courtesy to our judges, so they're not having to pull it from different places, because what we found is that people who write letters of recommendation include information that's not listed in their actual list of activities, because sometimes they just don't think that's important. Well, sometimes it is. We're looking at everything this child does. For leadership, they should list positions of leadership held in church, school, and community. We've already talked about fifth grade being a scored component this year. Participation in a wide variety of school organizations. That includes FFA, 4-H, Skills USA, Honor Societies, Beta, Drama, FBLA. Regardless, whatever organizations they're in, we want them to include that. And they can, if they're in an organization for several years, they can put from 2018 to 2020, you know, and put this year, and in the same blank, put whatever they did. So that way we're not looking all over the form. What have we been asked to ensure equity? We don't ask for ethnicity on these applications, so I never know what we're going to get or what's going to be submitted, because we want their service to communities. In previous years, we usually have a very diverse population of students that are nominated. Now, last year, for whatever reason, we did not have the diversity that we have had for the last 8 years. I've done this for 8 years, and that has not been a factor I have actually looked at, but I've always had a very diverse group of students. Last year, our senior group was great, but our elementary and middle school was not. And it's districts don't know what the other district is doing. So I want you to consider, these are the guidelines that we put there. Our nominee, our 12th grade winner, was from a rural parish that had unbelievable credentials and made his own way. That's kind of the students that we're looking for. They're making their own way and creating opportunities. So I want you to present what you think is the best representation from your school system. Citizenship, that's and activities, that includes honor societies, beta clubs, your FBLA, Skills USA, once again FFA, drama, and other school-based organizations or community organizations, such as Boy Scouts, volunteer activities at school, service clubs, peer tutoring, charity drives, church involvement, youth group involvement, and involvement in community services, such as fundraising for nonprofit groups and volunteering to assist elderly and local committees. Recognitions and awards. they need to include their grade levels, but if you had something major from the previous year, they can include that. I've seen that as well. Communication skills. All candidates at the regional and state levels will be interviewed by a panel of judges using the same set of interview questions. We provide those to the regional folks, and we provide that to the zone level folks as well. Students will be asked to complete writing essays at each level. For the regional level, we will send that to the regional coordinators, who will then send it to their districts or their school systems. For the state level committee, I will send it back to the regional coordinators. Excuse me, I will send it to the district coordinator, and then they will take care of getting the prompt written or the essay written and returned to me. Do students need to include all of the activity forms if they do not apply? Yes, they do, because all of them should apply. Now, at the school level, that is your decision about what gets included. But at the state level, it's just easier on us to know that it's not there rather than me having to look for it. Because I read every word of the state, every child's portfolio to ensure that all information that is needed at the state level is submitted. Okay. This year, the portfolios will be submitted at the school systems. Only the hardbound is submitted at the school level, if you so desire. If your school system wants to do it electronically, I don't have a problem with that. That is a district decision. Given the current health crisis, we are transitioning this hard copy to an electronic submission. School systems will be responsible for assisting the students in transferring the information into an electronic document of some sort. All of the elements of the portfolio will remain the same. Only the manner in which the document is submitted to the regional state levels is committed. The information concerning the hardline copy, we basically ask for a binder size. Some people have set the scrapbook size, and I haven't rejected it, but we really prefer that. It's just easier for systems to ship back and forth. And if you're only doing hard at that time, don't make a parent go out and do something extravagant and do this big scrapbook. You don't want for a parent to incur that type of expense. Font size should not be smaller than a 12-point font if it's in print. It's a 25 page limit. Now that's 25 pages. One page is back and front. We don't encourage excessively decorated binders. Something simple that kind of goes with the flow, that is up to you. The portfolio for electronics should not exceed 50 pages, including cover, photo, and required components. There was a question about artifacts of their choice. They can take Photoshop pictures of their artifacts and their medals and their certificates, or screenshot them or scan them to insert them in the documents. School systems must submit the electronic portfolios to the regional coordinator by the regional coordinator's deadline. Once the regional finalists have been selected, the regional coordinators will then send those electronic portfolios to me. The current student information page must be completely filled out and signed with the appropriate parties. If you are recreating a form, the verbiage must be exact. The application has text fields. It is fillable. And a current photo should be included somewhere in the document. Students should prepare an autobiographical sketch which can be used as a writing sample at the school level. Many times these writing samples have touched many, many hands. It's not the same thing that we do at the regional level. It is a cold read and a cold response to a question that they really have no knowledge of. Please make sure they include information about their family, their interest, and career aspirations. Many students, especially at 8th grade, don't include it at all. They clearly know what they want to do, but they don't include it in the essay. They're also encouraged to address 3 issues that are important to them or have had an influence on their lives. This really gives us some insight into what makes that child tick. And things that are the reasons why they're involved in the activities they're in. For grade 5, you might want to pose specific questions. Remember, this is a writing sample that's a reflection of the child. We're not scoring this at regional and state levels. Students will need to include a photocopy of their cumulative records and their academic records. If you don't have scores for a particular year, like we know none of the scores are going to come in from last year. We know that. So make sure that you have scores from the previous years. Don't try and send me your benchmarks. Don't know. We only wanted the statewide assessments, and we know nobody did those last year. Now, private system might have, but the state systems did not. Students should also include their AP scores. This is typically on their transcripts as well as CLEP. They send me their PSAT forms, their SAT forms, their work key scores, high school and jumpstart certifications, their TOPS aligned dual enrollment coursework that's usually indicated on their transcript where they earned it and what grade they earned. Their work-based experience documentation from an employer. If they're a CTE student and they're doing something off-site, as long as we have some type of certificate from that, and any other test results. Question came in, we will have EOC coursework for 4x4 block. Yes, you will. Go ahead and include that, but not everyone will have that. And that will be taken into consideration. Okay, when they're listing their items for leadership, service, and activities, we ask that they be listed chronologically from the most recent to the oldest. If more lines need to be added, you can add another page to the application. If space in the portfolio permits, students can include letters of recommendations, their certificates, or other artifacts. I have seen a multitude of artifacts come to my desk. Medals, certificates, photos, programs. It really does. And I don't want them not to include that, because there are things that are there, like they could say they were in a play, but what did they actually do? Were they a member of the cast, or did they have a leading role? Things like that. That's why the artifacts become important. Do you have the question came in, if you only have 9 weeks worth of grades, that's fine. We're going to do this. You don't have to submit. If you have grades that come in after January 1st, that's a factor we had not considered concerning grades coming in after that point. Whatever grades you have is what you need to submit. If we think the grades need to be upgraded, we may ask for that information at the regional and state levels. but that has not been discussed, so no final decision has been made. That was a great question. Okay, writing skills are assessed at every level of competition. The first writing sample all students will submit is a biographical sketch, which we've already discussed. School systems may determine their own prompts, because I know some systems do this, to determine which child they want to submit. Writing prompts and articles for the regional and state levels of competition will be provided by me to you and sent directly to the school system coordinator for completion. This component is worth anywhere between 25 and 30% of the competition, depending on their grade level. This information can be found on the scoring forms that are found in the Student of the Year guidelines. The interview is the next part of the competition. We have listed on this slide all of the items that we are going to score. Who should be on the selection committee for charter zone committees? It should be composed of appropriate grade level teachers, a counselor, any 5 of these people. Let me rephrase that. The elementary teacher, if it's grade 5, you should have a grade 5 teacher, grade 8, and so forth. You can have a counselor, supervisors, administrators, CT instructor or supervisor at the 12th grade level, community members from business, industry, labor or civic organization, and then your higher education personnel. And you need 3 to 5 people per grade level. Now this is for your school system selections and your zone selections. Now at the regional levels, we need 5 people. Same group of people, but you will need 5 members on those panels. Scoring forms. The component weighting has changed. I encourage you to look at the guidelines to see what the specifics are. The revised scoring rubrics will be sent to the school system coordinators probably before Thanksgiving so that you can use those in your selection process. Evaluation and scoring forms have been included in the guidebooks for all school systems, region and state levels of competition. The scoring rubrics for the essays and portfolios will be sent to the school system coordinators once their participation form has been submitted to me at the department. Regional and state committees will use the same scoring rubrics for essays, portfolios, and interviews. What are the levels of competition? Each public, non-public, and charter school may nominate a candidate for the school system. Each school system will then select 1 nominee to be considered at the regional levels. Charter zones A through D, each zone submits 1 nominee. Zone E is able to submit 3 nominees because they have 3 times the number of charter schools in Orleans Parish alone. Zone E is Orleans Parish. And they have like 87, 88 separate charter schools. The regional selection committee will select 1 nominee for each grade level to be considered at the state level. For each parochial and non-public schools, each school nominates a candidate for the school system's consideration at the applicable grade level. Schools submit their nominee to the diocesan chairman who conducts the selection process in the same manner that a school system would. Each of the 7 dioceses will submit their candidate to the diocesan regional chairman, Mr. Michael Miller, the assistant superintendent of Baton Rouge Catholic Schools. This selection committee then submits 1 candidate for each grade level at the state level. The regional competition window dates have only a slight variation. State competition, The state competition was actually moved back this year to the week, it was the first week of April, but a lot of that date is dependent on when does Easter break or spring break fall. I hate to have students come in and have to give up their spring break because it denies the whole family of going on a vacation that they've probably planned for 6 months ago. Regional nominees will be released between March 3rd and 5th in an official press release. Impacted school systems will be notified. I typically try to call school systems 2 to 3 days before, so that before it's announced to everyone, those systems know. Portfolios, if we do this electronically, will not need to be returned because it's electronic. If our current health crisis permits, all state finalists and school system coordinators will be sent a logistics memo concerning the agenda for the day, as well as housing arrangements for the finalists and their parents. Formal invitations to the awards program will be sent to parents, school administration, school system superintendents, charter school management CEOs, and the school system and regional coordinators of the finalists. Louisiana legislators were not invited last year because I think they were in session at that point, but in the past we invite the members of the House Education and Senate Education Committee to attend our function and support us. Question came in, what is the absolute latest that we should choose our 5, 8, and 12th grade winners? All regional finalists have to be sent to the regional coordinator by the 21st of January. Charter people are going to need to submit their school system, charter management system nominees before Christmas so that we can do the zones those 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to the 21st. So just know you're going to have to figure out what's the best date for your school system to determine what your deadline's going to be. I have no problem with students working on their portfolios over Thanksgiving. Your nominee just has to be submitted to the region by January. Okay. The next slide is basically what we plan to do. If it's in person, if it's virtual, we will do portfolios, essays, and so forth. All of it will be done virtually, as well as the awards program. We did do the awards program virtually, and the Student of the Year finalists, their principals, their superintendents, and members of the Bessie office were all invited to attend. All right. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at marion.johnson@la.gov. And this probably has my old phone number. I forgot it was in here. I did this slide for so long ago. I've moved my office since then. My new number, if you want to write it down, is, I will hold it up for you. Is that backwards? Is 342-1721, and the area code is the exact same. Once again, my desk phone number is 342-1721 with the area code of 225. Thank you very much for your time, and I thank you for your continuing support of this program. Please remember, and most of you know this, I respond within 10 or 15 minutes of you posting something if it's not sooner. So, and it doesn't matter if it's after 5 o'clock, I do respond because I know you need the information. I've been on your end, I understand it. I want to make this as easy of a process as possible and really recognize those students who are just outstanding. If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and close the meeting. It was great chatting with y'all today, and I hope that I've answered a lot of your questions. Please download the new Student of the Year guidelines. They are gorgeous, they are sassy, they're very concise and very well organized. So without further ado, bye, and I'll see y'all at your state competition. Have a great day.